Pythons. You can find me on YouTube. Same thing, Big D's Pythons. And I don't really have it on Facebook anymore. I used to. I just got my personal Facebook. But yeah, Instagram and YouTube is where you find me. I do have my new show that's no fucks given right now. I like it. It's random, so I can't tell you what day it's going to be on because I just do it randomly. And it can go for an hour to 4 hours. Who knows? But yeah, so YouTube, Instagram, and here tonight.
Oh, y'all heard it first. Go subscribe to Derek's YouTube. Tune into his show.
What's up, everybody?
What up, bro?
What's up, guys? We are live. We're about to kick this great episode off, but Levi's going to tell us what's going on with his heart.
Man, I gotta. This one's tough, bro. This one's tough. I gotta remain professional and composed and try to be as professional about everything as possible. But man, it's getting old. Like it. For anybody that's not aware, let's start it from the bat because we didn't do one last week. Shout out to all the mothers. Happy Mother's Day. I got tied up with some Mother's Day plans, so moms come first, family first. Obviously, family over everything. We did great in Florida. Daniel, Phil Goss, every single keeper that showed up. Shout out to the Mi Familia members that showed up and represented. Olivero, Boza. Mike from Hurt Collectors, he was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Villarino was there. There was a gang of keepers there. So shout out to each and every person that went out there, showed support, let FWC know that we weren't going to be stepped on. We're not going to tolerate the crap that's going on. What an incredible show of respectful force from our end. Again, hats off to every single person that showed up to that. They backed off, and well, it looks like they had a master plan after all. Ace up the sleeve. Mark Rubio is now pushing to add the Lacey Act whitelist amendments back in, undoing everything that USARK Florida won a few years back. So, I kind of been out of touch this week. I ain't even gonna lie with anybody. Like I just been kind of in my own little bubble, trying to remain composed before I spoke on it. I still really wasn't ready for today because my tolerance for the bullshit from the politics is getting old. But yeah, go to USARK Florida, usark.org. Look up the update, see what's going on with it. If Daniel's putting anything out or Phil Goss is putting anything out on what to do, follow the steps. I'll check up on it tonight, but just to go to show, like my patience is just it's wearing thin. I'm out of fucks to give. I'm so done with the government and whatever it's going to take. Christina over at Genetics Nerd has a letter drawn up. She shared out. Hit her up, get a copy of it, email it up, send that up. I did that at least. But yeah, that's basically the update. Is we're up against it's David and Goliath again. So let's bring a freaking slingshot because again, I'm not going to say too much more because I'm going to end up saying something stupid and looking reckless. So, Chris, you take
it. All right, are you ready to go there? You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it, man. This is going to be a good episode. We're going to talk more on it with Brian. We're going to get his aspect on it. See what his thoughts, processes are. Brian tends to have a way better composure than I do. Everyone knows I like to pop off at the mouth, so I'm going to refrain from that for now.
For now. But we're going to shout out our sponsors. We got Blue Tongue Republics. He's an artist, tattoo artist. He does artwork. If y'all want any artwork done, hit him up. Then we got Ship Your Reptiles. Type in Flexin 23. You get $15 off your shipping. And then we got South Bay Reptiles. The boy Josh over, doing his thing. South Bay.
Supposedly, I'm going to get my shirt. We'll see.
And then we got KC Reptile Labs for substrate. Type in Flexin. It's 50% off shipping or off your cart, your entire cart for substrate. And then we got C&B Reptiles.
#1 selective captive bred shop in the nation, let alone the world, in my opinion on the world, facts on the United States. Shout out to my family over there. And real quick, before we move on, let me do one thing real quick. So even being sponsored, this has nothing to do with the sponsorship. I mean, completely separate, not the greatest timing, but shout out to CMB, man. What a shop. what a part of an operation I get to be a part of. Me and Bill are partnered up on the G-Stripe project and the Super Dwarfs. If you don't know, hit up my Instagram. Go take a look at them. I need to get an update video out. I actually just put them in new enclosures. I'm super excited about it. But shout out to Bill, man, and everything that he's doing for the industry. They got an expo coming up on June 4th for my Arizona peeps. If you're in town, check it out. You can't go wrong. The list of vendors is great. He's got some of my favorite people showing up, and I mean, the guy that got me started in boas and addicted to the shit's going to be there. Shout out to Graceful Serpents. But yeah, what a part of an operation, and such a blessing to be a part of Bill's family over at CMB. I consider them my family. Walking in there is like walking into a second home. And again, that has nothing to do with being sponsored. It doesn't matter, sponsored or not. CMB is always going to be a part of my life, and so is Bill and his entire family. So,
yeah, I agree. Caleb and Bill are awesome, bro. Like every time I message them, they message like that. So
wait till you meet Dana, bro. His wife is badass.
And then shout out to Reptile Crew. If you don't have Reptile Crew's merch, go get it. It's the best thing like you could wear. Honestly,
only hat I trust to cover this chrome dome, bro.
Alrighty. On that note, let's start rolling. You ready? You got anything else to say?
Nope. Let's do it. Let's get Kusko in here, bro.
All right, let's get him on.
Let's do it.
Who's ready?
Hit the button.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sexin and Flexin Live Sunday with my co-host Levi from FTL Reptiles and Brian Kusko from Triple BTV.
Dude, my kids would love that intro, bro. When the dragon comes in, they would be stoked on that, no doubt.
Well, he does the intro, so
I gotta say, agree with you with Caleb and Bill, man, and Dana especially. Dana is the woman, dude. She holds it down. Dana's incredible. Great family, like you said, man. I remember we had them on the podcast one time when Garrett and I were doing the Searchable Reptiles podcast, which we haven't done in a while because we haven't been together in person for a hot minute. But we had them on and we were talking about the idea of what if they went, captive bred only. And then we were like, yeah, that would be cool. I think you guys should do it. And it wasn't like within that month they moved completely to 100% captive bred only. And I thought that was a pretty bold move, being in the spot that they're in, and they've just done it. And awesome folks. That, like you said, man, I'm not. Well, I guess they're on my Patreon thing, but even if they weren't, like, they're just super supportive people, and like they treat everybody. As long as I've known them, they didn't know me from anybody, and they just treated me like family the first moment I met them, and it's never changed. Always invite me to stay at their place or whatever. Like I had a layover in Phoenix one time. My flight got delayed. And I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do? And I was like, hey Bill, what are you doing? He's like, and I told him I was stuck, and they just came and picked me up. We went out to dinner, and you want to stay at the house? And I was like, I got a hotel because didn't want them to drive, at 5 a.m. and take me back to the airport. But point is, yeah, just like opening up their doors, welcoming me like family, cool folks.
For sure.
After you were talking about them, I wanted to say that too, because just to also throw my hat in the ring and vouch for that company and that family. Really great folks.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's a blessing having Bill right down, the next city over from me. Being able to go into the shop and interact with, Bill, Dana, Caleb, Curtis. Curtis is another huge player in the game for them. Shit, dude. If you didn't know, like, you would swear that Curtis is related to them. Like, it's just one giant family in there, bro.
And Stella. So cool.
Stella, yeah. Always giving out tats, bro. Oh man. But yeah, that's awesome, man. I didn't realize that I knew you guys were associated. I didn't realize it was that tight knit. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. When they had their when they first opened up their shop, the grand opening, they flew out Garrett and myself and Dave Kaufman and Clint Laidlaw to come out for the grand opening of the shop, and then went out there and went herping and just did it. Yeah, it was a blast, man. Great time, great memories.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I need to get out with Bill and Garrett when Garrett comes back again to go out herping.
Yeah, with Lee too. Lee Varner, he knows some good spots, I think, as well. And Ryan Lee. Definitely.
No, for sure. Yeah, I don't think I've met Ryan yet. I know of him.
Yeah,
I know Lee Varner.
He's not like super in the reptile thing necessarily, but he's just down to go out herping, you know.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
But his brother, of course, is big time. Eric Lee is like reticulated pythons, super dwarf and stuff out here in I think he's back in San Diego now, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
yeah, he's like 5 minutes from the trap or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Like in that general vicinity. That's what I base everything off of, is where MJ's at. This is the only area I know.
You gotta have that guy on your podcast, man. He lives up to the Flexin part for sure.
Dude, Eric?
Yeah, Eric.
He's been on, bro.
Been on.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
Yeah, that was like, dude, oh man, like, so there. One little, I guess, like behind the scenes special moment I'll do for this podcast. Some I don't really talk too much about. There were two guests. Like, I don't get nervous, like where I'm biting my nails or whatever, but like I'll have to like focus before way before even getting backstage. Like, I really got to like tune in and hyper focus on the podcast and not let my fangirl basically get the best of me. And the two so far that have like almost, and I mean even parts of it have come out have been MJ and Eric Lee. Like oh man, I was so amped when Eric said yes. Like, I've looked up to Eric. I don't even know if he knows this. So if he sees this, I've looked up to Eric since I first got into the game. Like, I remember there were legends from the Arizona breeders groups, and Eric Lee was one of them. And then shortly after that, he did MJ's podcast. And from there, I was just hooked. I've been following him since. Like, every little thing he does, I'm watching and paying attention to. Every podcast he does, I'll listen to. What he's doing with the Super Dwarfs is just second to none. Incredible. His mindset behind everything. And then his like desire to try to almost kill himself while working out is like, bro, what?
Yeah, I don't get that. I won't go that far. If I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna pass out, I probably will pass out.
Yeah, well, you consider the fact that a marathon started because a guy ran to the town of Marathon to warm them and died after he ran there, delivered his message, and then died. And that was how you get the marathon length today. It was 26.2 miles. The fact that there's people out there now like Eric that run that as the warm up for whatever run they're gonna do is, yeah, that's nuts. I'll never run that far. That's too far. It's just too much.
Ballistic, man. I can't run around the corner, let alone do.
I'll tell you, I've got somebody like that too, because I've been having people on for a hot minute now. Since I think 2015 was when I first started interviewing people for videos for reptile YouTube stuff, and the only person that really I felt like that, not like fangirling necessarily, but just like nervous and wanting to make sure I had all my ducks in a row. Because usually I just go off the cuff and just do. I don't have any questions written down or anything, but for this guy, I was like, okay, I need to know exactly what I'm going to ask this guy and in what order, and make sure that it's like I got my stuff together, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to live with myself having this guy. And that was Phil Goss, the US ARC.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Which, if you think about Phil, I mean, if you know Phil, he's just he's so chill and just an easy guy to be around. But before I had him on, that was the guy for me. I was like, okay, I was nervous. I was very, very nervous.
Yeah, man,
for me, it was MJ, because I never met MJ, and I was all nervous. I did that first episode we did with him. He talked the whole thing, and me and Levi were just like listening, and we just sat there. We were like, man,
I can't imagine that. MJ just talking and talking. No, that doesn't.
No, never. No, dude. But then he came back a second time, and that was even better, man. Like,
yeah, our podcast was lit.
There was something on this little texting for Instagram, and he was asking for feedback the other night about how did the podcast go. I'd like to get some feedback from everybody. And my my feedback was what did I say? I said something. He said what any feedback on tonight's episode in here is appreciated. I said less talking, so much talking.
and then I put after that. So I was like, so no talking? Yeah, we're just gonna sit there for 2 hours and not talk. That would be a great episode. I was like, holy smokes. But then everybody after that was funny, man. Everybody after that was like, yeah, it was a good show. That was a good podcast. Y'all did great. Y'all killed it, or he killed it.
I'm glad that MJ stepped up and did that, man, because there has been a lot of whirlwinds of shit going around the community, and that's one of them. It's like everything revolving the morph market, the ownership change, what the future of morph market looks like, what the future of the industry based on that looks like, and then I mean you got, of course, the dipshits over at FWC throwing their hat in the race, ruining everything for everybody.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's been, man. I'm telling.
It's a great time to be alive. Oh, I want to comment. So I commented on the thing you said about with Bill and Caleb and Dana and how awesome that was. You also said something else that I was thinking about commenting on while you were talking there before I came on, which was you wanted to stop and because you're just gonna pop off at the lip. Everybody knows you pop off at the lip. I just like to say that I also would love so much to pop off at the lip. I hate to admit that, but it's true. And the thing is, the times that I have and have done that, which does still happen, rarely on occasion. These days, it's mostly relegated to my children. But the times that after I pop up the lip, like it feels good in the moment. I'm like, yes, I'm letting this off my chest. I'm just, I needed to say this, and I hate you. I hate everybody. But then afterwards, I'm like, oh my gosh, was that me? That was me. That was me saying all that stuff. God. So I'm with you. I'd love to pop off at the lip, but then I'd also like to take back all of my lip popping, all the times my lip popped. I remember one time, dude, I'm not proud of this moment at all. I was in Las Vegas at the Eagles concert, but when the Eagles were all still alive, and it was incredible. It was an incredible show, and they're rocking, but it was like kind of a older crowd. It's Eagles, so it's a little older crowd, but they're still rocking. Still got it, and like I'm going off. I see a guy like across the way that had no fear either, and was just like going for it and dancing, and everybody else is sitting down in their seats while this legendary band is just rocking and sounding better than ever. And the guy from way across would come over and be like, "Yeah, man, yeah, you getting it?" I turned around and I didn't know who was sitting behind, but I was just getting like irritated that everybody was just sitting down when this band is like rocking their butts off. And I took it personal for whatever reason. I turned around and I was like, "Stand up, motherfucker!" and I look and I didn't realize who was sitting behind me necessarily. When I look back, it's just all these like 70-year-old like gray-haired folks just looking at me terrified. It's like, please don't make us stand up, sir. I immediately, like, as soon as I saw their faces, I was like, oh man, I'm such an idiot. But yeah, I like to pop off at the lip every now and then too. But then usually instantly regret it.
I was like, we have one of those episodes, but since now that we got the sponsors, like, we try to watch what we say.
Oh man, see, hold on. See, I take a page out of MJ's book. I don't.
Except for him.
I don't care if I'm going after somebody, as long as I'm not personally attacking the person on like a personal level. But like, if I'm coming at you, I'm coming at you. Like it's gonna happen. But from like a professional aspect, talking about the industry is like really where I'm trying to not pop off at the mouth. Because like what I say and I stand on it. You know what I mean? Like 10 toes down. Like shit's gonna come out, shit's gonna happen. It is what it is. But
there's certainly something to be said for saying the things that you truly believe in and standing behind them and not being afraid to say them, you know. But there's also something to be said for having tact and saying things in a way and presenting them in a way that are going to actually have an effect, rather than, you know, if you're feeling a certain way about things like FWC, for example. We all want to see change there, right? We all want to see the things that are happening there not happen the way that they did on April 6th and not go the way they've been going. And that's the catalyst behind what would cause one to pop off at the lip in this certain situation, right? But you want to affect some kind of change, and so being tactful may be the most effective way to do that. Sometimes the most effective way is to go and burn the place down, and then they have to rebuild from scratch. I mean, that is sometimes a tactic that does work and has been utilized in the past, and maybe utilized in the future at some point too. So I don't know. I'm just my thoughts on the idea. Like, there's hopefully people will listen to reason. When it comes to the government, I've just gotten so tired of watching people do things in a place of power from the government, misusing their power and doing things that are not right, and then not really having much accountability for it all. You know, that it'll be brought up like, yeah, this happened, and they'll have these hearings, and people will be standing there and they'll say, yeah, this happened, and what do you then? But then the end result is nothing. It at least talked about it and acknowledged that it happened. So there is at least that, and it wasn't just completely swept under the rug. Like, no, what are you talking about? No, that never happened. But it usually is to a point where it has to be acknowledged because there's no denying that it happened. But then all it happens is a little hearing. And you say, okay, this happened. That sucks. And we'll just move on with our lives, and nobody will take any accountability for what happened. Nobody will face any kind of reprimanding for what happened, time off work, getting fired, etc., change of position so that they're not in that same position. There's so many times I've seen that play out that it just gets, you just want to pop off at the lip, and because it doesn't seem to be changing anything. Having these hearings now, hopefully with USARK being the way they are, and working through the system and trying to be in the system and affecting change from within, they have made changes. You know, they have gotten legislation turned around. They won that lawsuit, against FWC, however many years back in 2016 or whatever it was. I don't remember the year, but they have accomplished things. They have been that David against that Goliath, where they've successfully smacked the giant in between the eyes with the sling and the rock. And so that's great. It's fantastic. That's why I love USARK. That's why I love Phil Goss. That's why I love what they're doing. Because they're a small grassroots organization that is actually affecting change in a place where I see often no change happening, no matter how much truth is spoken into those hearings. So we'll just have to see how it plays out and where it goes, and hopefully it doesn't get to a point where people are actually feeling inspired to go and burn things down, and that people will be heard and their concerns won't fall on deaf ears, because that's a much better outcome, I think, for everybody, versus the revolutionary tactic, which usually leaves somebody dead and bleeding.
True.
Yeah, I hate to be the pessimist in the situation, but I feel like we're almost there. Where is it? I was talking to a fellow keeper, and it's to the point. It's like, well, if we win this Lacey Act situation again, what do we do next as a community? How can we set the precedent to basically set the standard? Stop trying. We're not backing down. We're not giving up, and you guys are going to win. You guys keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It's like every time we take a deep breath, by the time we exhale, there's another legislation being pushed.
But what if they're trying to wait for us to back down, stop, get tired?
That's what I'm saying, though. We have to set. How do we set the precedent that that's not going to happen?
Well, there's a couple different things that I think of, and there are things that I've heard said before. The self-policing of the industry is something that gets brought up, and how to do that. One thing that I think of, and I don't know if this is, I'm sure there are people that are like, no, that's not the way to do it. That sounds horrible, and I don't want to do it that way at all. And I get that. There's a part of me that would love to live in a time, in a world where it's just a small community, and everybody kind of knows everybody. You're living in a small town with 100 people, and you got a lot of freedom there because there's not a lot of legislation and laws set in place in that town to control everybody. Everybody's pretty much free, even to be an idiot, all the way to the point to be an idiot, because everybody knows, okay, that's just Frank. He's always an idiot like that. We don't need to punish him. He's just an idiot, and that's what's going to happen with Frank. And we all know that. So just don't give him the keys to the car, and everything's good with Frank. But but then there's the side of we go like AKC, like what they've done with dogs, you know, because dogs have been bred now for centuries, all these different breeds of the same species, a lot like what we're doing with these reptiles today. And they have all these standards set in place, and you have to be papered up with your animals, et cetera, if you want to breed and if you want to be official under the eyes of the AKC. And so that's the way that they kind of self-police themselves, and they don't need to have the federal government step in and tell them, here's how you can breed your dogs, here's how you can run your shows, here's what dog breeds you can keep. The AKC kind of self-polices themselves. So that's one thing that I see as being a potential thing moving forward. You know, if the, like you said, if the lawsuit goes through and not having the federal government step in, or any government for that matter, step in and have to regulate us if we regulate ourselves in that way. That's one option that I see as a possibility.
Okay. No, I completely back that idea. I mean, I think it's got more positive than it does negative. Like, yeah, the small town thing's great, right? Like, I have that same thought process. Like, what if we just stop trying to grow the community? You know what I mean? Like, we're so focused on outreach and bringing new people in.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, why would you do that?
It's just nice. It's just nice to have those small communities are very successful in the fact that you don't have all these different things to try and figure out because of growth. But I think growth is better. I wouldn't want to keep the community small. I'd like to keep. I mean, a big part of what I'm doing is to keep growing it and get more people involved with snakes and get more people to love snakes. Like with my church today, I'm meeting more folks that have no idea that snake keeping or breeding is a thing, and educating them before, I don't know, PETA gets to them and tells them that we are evil and need to be shut down.
Yeah, exactly. The negative in this situation of keeping it to a small town just isn't worth it. You know, keeping the community limited. But with the AKC thing, like, if we came up with something like that, like, I don't see, like, yeah, it's going to be a pain. There's a lot of paperwork. There'd be a lot of politics. It would take a while. But doing something like that, I don't see how that would disadvantage breeders, for example, right? Because you get, like, let's say Joe Schmo down the road's pushing out blood pythons, and he claims, okay, this is a brand new morph. You get breeders out there that do that, but there's not a lot of documentation to go into it. It's illegitimate. You get a whole debacle in the community versus the guy down the road farther that's whatever our AKC would be, right, is certified, has every documentation, and is pushing out a brand new morph. It legitimizes that person even more, in my opinion, being certified in the group and whatnot, because that's why you're AKC certified. You want a German Shepherd, you go to an AKC breeder. Right. You don't go to the gas station dude on the corner selling German Shepherds that end up being fucking 15 different species of dogs shoved into one that looks like a German Shepherd.
And I think Morph Market could very well be the beginnings of that, especially now they're tied in with the Rare Genetics Incorporated, and starting to, this genetic testing is starting to come into play. And as soon as I move across other species, that's one thing that's already there and is starting to grow with them as well. That could lead into something just like that, where if you're not on Morph Market, now the challenge there, I guess, would be if Morph Market wants to keep growing as a company, then they need to keep having, adding users to their platform. But they are in a position to do that, to be that entity, such as the AKC, especially with the genetic testing that they're tied in with as well. It's something that could be. I'd love to see it move that direction personally. I mean, I'd be happy to, be a member and be certified. And what if it meant somebody coming here to check the facility and make sure everything's up to, code per se and all that. I'd be totally cool with that. And like you said, it would, to your point of, it would make you more legitimate. Even people know, okay, it's inspected. It's like everything's legitimate here. You don't have to, you can get an animal here and not have to worry about what actually happened as far as genetics or health and all that. So, yeah, I think if you're not on board with it, then maybe it's because you're trying to do things under the subpar, maybe, and could be.
Good.
Yeah, policy in wake of the Holy Thursday massacre.
That's good because they weren't even following their own policy, right?
No,
yeah, they were.
That's when you know the government's really working well. Here, we got this policy. We didn't follow it, but we have it.
But
it's there.
That's
we didn't even know it was there, but it's there.
But that's everywhere. That's even for like cops too. Like we have policies, but do officers follow those policies? No.
Yeah, that's.
Are they even trained in the policy?
Yeah, we are. But
are you though? Like, are you really though? Like, you got.
Yes, we got. Yes, we are. Yes.
Because there are corporations out there, like when you're onboarding, and corporations, cops, government. It's all basically the same shit, right? Tied into one fucking different terminology. But when you're onboarding with something, do they specifically go over that policy, or do they shove a video in your face that's 5 minutes long that goes over the policy, and then that's one of 30 that you're covering that day? Then you're covering another 30 the next. Then you're covering another 30. You're 5 days into training. You've covered 100 different fucking policy onboarding videos. Psychology says that's bullshit. You're not going to retain any of that. You're going to retain maybe 1-2 policies a day. You're going to remember those.
Okay, you got a point, dude. You're right. Okay, yeah.
Because see, that's my thing, right? Like going through like the podcast, right, Brian? How long on average do you run a podcast for? How long is an episode for you?
For me?
Yeah.
It depends on the podcast. Because I got the Searchables Reptiles podcast I do with Garrett when we're together, and we usually run that about hour 20 minutes or so, and it's usually just the two of us talking, unless we have a couple friends that want to join with us, or we have a guest. It was usually just Garrett and I chatting together, and we do about an hour and 20. On Triple B TV these days, I've been doing 30 minutes live, and then going back behind the scenes and doing a 30-minute Zoom call with just some of the Patreon folks. And so that, hour 20, about that. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in that time frame. About 45 minutes to an hour is all that you're going to get somebody's attention span for, and you're not even getting the full attention span of that person. We retain the first 15 minutes of whatever it is that we're paying attention to.
Bro, that's not true though.
Depends on how into it you are, because there's lots of podcasts I listen to where, sometimes these podcasts are like 2.5, 3 hours long, and I wait to listen to them when I'm on a drive that's that long, because I want to listen to the whole thing and listen to the whole thing straight and not have to break it up into sections, which I do sometimes as well. I'm like, okay, listen to it, like I want to get back to this. Like sometimes I'll listen to a podcast and maybe it's even longer than my 3-hour drive. And I'm like, okay, when I get back in the car, go back the other direction, I'm going to pick up where I left off. So if you're really interested in the topic, I think that if whoever's listening is like dead interested in the topic and you're providing lots of good information on that subject, then that'll keep people engaged,
So hold on. Hold on. Let me follow that up real quick. So I'm going to challenge you real quick, Brian, because I did this to myself and I proved that this study that I read is actually somewhat factual.
Okay.
The next time you listen to a 3-hour podcast, the second it ends, I want you to try to remember the very first beginning parts of that podcast.
Well, maybe not the details of like who said exactly what, like I'm not like the literal like quotes of what people said at the very, very beginning. But for one example, there was a time when I was really getting into coffee, because I didn't usually drink. I never drank coffee growing up too much, maybe like a few times. And then I got really into coffee all of a sudden and wanted to know a lot about it, and found that there was a podcast on coffee. So I listened to it just once. And I now know more about coffee than anybody probably should have a right to know about coffee who is not an actual coffee expert. But I could tell you the history. I could tell you how many species of coffee there were in Ethiopia before they made their way out, and how those species of coffee got out of Ethiopia, and why, and like what African tribes used to do with the coffee beans, like all these different things. Because maybe it was because I was drinking coffee at the same time and I was on like hyper. I'm gonna learn about coffee. But I did. But to your point, there are also times I listen to podcasts and I might not even retain 5 minutes of what was actually said, and I'm absorbing it like almost not subcutaneously, but subconsciously, to where it's not on the left side of my brain that I can recall the facts that were brought up in it. And then I'll back up your thought there too with something my son said. He's like, when I go to he wanted to go into the main sanctuary for church this morning to listen to the message, that because there's a section for the kids. The kids can go to like the Sunday school side, and he was adamant about if he goes into the Sunday school side, he goes in there and he doesn't learn anything because all the other kids are too loud or this and that, and he comes out there knowing nothing more than he did before, but he knows a lot more if he could come in and sit with us. And sometimes I think, oh, he just doesn't want to go on the kids thing and he wants to just sit in there with us. But then he manned up and said, no, I don't just want to sit with you. I really want to be in the main sanctuary and listen to Pastor Brandon to teach like the big kids, teach to, the adult stuff, because that's the stuff that interests me, and I'm going to listen, I'm going to learn. And he went in there and he went and sat away from us by himself so that he could be more focused and listen. And then there was a third example that slipped my brain of somebody listening to something and not actually picking up all the stuff that was being taught, like one in one ear, one out the other. Something about listening to video. I lost it. Dang it.
Sorry.
Maybe that was a
you did
example.
It before I did it.
He does it a lot.
I'll just completely just lose the train. Like the train will derail, and that's it. There's no.
And it was just another example. There was the Noah example, and then there was another example of somebody. It quite literally could have been me, where you're like, how much of this are you going to retain? We're going through this. You got to learn this. You got to learn this. You got to learn this. And how much are you actually going to retain?
But I feel like it's based off the topics of, what people put out there too.
Yeah, if you're really into it, and if you have a specific, like that podcast with Coffee, for example, I listened to it. It was just a conversational podcast. It was the Joe Rogan podcast, which is often just like they're literally just bantering often, just going back and forth. A lot of the guests, sometimes it's just an open conversation, but it's usually about the guest. Like that guest is literally a coffee expert and knew everything about coffee and knew so much about coffee that he made it that interesting, knowing all these little minute details and facts, like the fact that the only place in the United States that's aside from Hawaii that grows its own coffee beans is just south of me, 2 hours in Santa Barbara, California. Only place in the continental United States that grows coffee.
What is the name of that company?
I don't know the name of the company. I just know that it's in Santa Barbara, somewhere just on the south side of some of the mountains where they meet the sea. It's the perfect climate or whatever. But anyway, this is the problem. I'm just here on your podcast, and we're just going to talk about everything. We did focus in on USARK a little bit and some reptile stuff, but now I'm blabbing off about coffee and how you can retain information. The people that were here wanted to hear about USARK, they clicked off. So, like coffee. I don't want to know about no coffee or getting church. Let's. Gosh dang it.
Well, Bo's is in here. You got his attention.
I was like, everybody want to hear about USARK and all the negative stuff that happens. That's what gets the people. I don't understand that. Like, why is that attract views versus people being real and talking about actual stuff?
What do you mean? What? Being negative about USARK versus being real?
Not being negative about USARK. I'm just talking about negativity out there in the real world, or they'll bring it on to the podcast and talk about it, and then it gets all the views.
Is that not being real though? If somebody talking negative stuff doesn't necessarily mean it's not real, right?
True. You got a point.
I'll give you a good example of why it works that way. And I constantly have to be reminded of this because I'm always asking myself, why can't I just put up a nice, beautiful story of a snake and that'll be the video that gets all the views versus the one that says I'm struggling with addiction or, this snake almost killed me. And that's the stuff that gets the attention. And here's why. Because things that are dangerous, things that might be a problem, those are the things that we're wired to pay attention to. If somebody walks by you on the street, if 10 people are walking towards you on the street, and 9 of them are being like, "Hi, how's it going? How's it going?" You're not gonna pay them too much attention. You'll be polite maybe and say, "Oh, it's going great. Thanks for asking." Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? If somebody's walking towards you with a knife and is like, "I'm gonna kill you," that's the person you're gonna pay the most attention to, because it's negative, it's potentially harmful, and so you're wired naturally to pay attention to that, because that is an immediate. The person saying hi to you nicely, the person that has a nice, beautiful story that's just like everything's going to be fine. You're like, oh, great. I don't need to worry about. I don't need to pay any attention there. That's good. Set aside. The thing that's going to potentially ruin your day is the thing that you naturally are going to pay attention to, because that's the most important thing in the moment. That's the thing that's going to potentially end all of the other good times you're going to have, is that thing. So that's why we're, as humans, we're wired to pay attention to that stuff. That's why people break their necks at a car wreck or a train wreck when they're driving by.
I was gonna say.
Oh, it makes sense. Give me just a second.
Yep. Take all the seconds you need.
Right. You only got 10. Just so you know.
He just said 1. He only asked for 1, so he's already gone over his quota.
But yeah, I get that. Like, but also remember what we were trying to talk about too, about people using other platforms for cloud and stuff like that.
Oh, you mean like you guys are doing to me right now? How dare you?
Oh, I was like, wait, we're not. I actually want to have you here, talk real. Like, I want to get your opinions on stuff.
Yeah.
And that was one of them, like the negativity. Like, I don't get it. Like, I know being nice and positive, it doesn't always work out. You know what I mean? I know, I get it. It doesn't. But I don't know. Like, I can't. For me, it's hard for me to do like controversy like Levi does. Like, I don't know. I try to avoid it, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think there's a time to engage in something that's controversial. It's something you care about, then absolutely, then you stand your ground and defend yourself and be vocal about it. There's all kinds of different ways to handle controversy, and you can be calm and well-spoken and handle it that way, or you can pop off at the lip, and that's another way that some people deal with it. So, I mean, it just depends on how entrenched you are in whatever it is that's coming controversial against you. For most things, I'm pretty laid back. I'd say we could talk about just about anything, and I like to think I would keep a pretty level head, no matter what the subject was, no matter how controversial the subject was. If you start to get a little more personal, then I might start to get a little more defensive. If it was something like attacks on character or even on family members of mine, that's a sure way to get a real rise out of me. I always tell people, like, people are worried, oh, I just didn't want to offend you. It's like, I promise you, if you want to offend me, you have to slap my grandma. You slap my grandma, I'm going to get pretty offended. But short of that, if you're not harming one of my family members and we're just talking about something, I'm probably not going to get very offended, because we're just talking. We're talking about ideas. So yeah. The person being Eden's Den says the person being nice and saying hi is a weirdo. I mean, that's certainly possible, but I guess I'm that weirdo a lot. I'll be walking down the street, I'll just say hi and wave nicely to somebody, and I guess I'm weird. Or maybe I just live in a spot where there's not so many people anymore. It is true, you start trying to do that. Like, I go from here, where I live now, go to LA, and you try to say hi to somebody on the street, and definitely you'll get plenty of folks that'll just like pretend like you didn't just do that. That certainly happens. Like, I know that person didn't just say hi to me. No chance. I'm not even going to acknowledge it with anything. That happens.
He said, slap my grandma, there would be no getting offended, only death.
Yeah. The closest.
Wait, what did I miss?
Let's talk about slapping grandmas over here, but nothing crazy.
Why are we slapping grandmas?
No.
Oh no, we're talking about why you shouldn't.
Oh.
No, Brian was talking about, like, the only way to offend him is if you slap his grandma.
Yeah.
Why would somebody do that?
Exactly. That's my point exactly. Why on earth would you do that? Especially if I'm standing right there. Like, there's no. You'd have to be, like, literally insane.
I done seen some shit on the internet the other day about
no, you don't say.
Some kids that were running into people's houses for TikTok clout, and I was like, bro, like, how dumb can you get? Like,
I know people that used to do that just for clout amongst the group of friends they were with, without having any kind of TikTok backup. I knew people that would go. Their whole game was they'd break into people's houses, and the game was see how close you can get to the person that's in that house sleeping. And that was it. They weren't there to steal anything. They weren't there to do anything other, and they weren't there to take video of it. It was just them and like 6 or 7 of them, and just That was the game. Get in there, see whoever gets the closest to the person sleeping in that house wins.
Bro, that'd be hella creepy, right? You wake up and there's somebody over your head. Like, what the fuck?
That's a good way to fuck around and get shot. Like,
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. These guys weren't too concerned about that.
Like, goddamn, I was thinking about it. Like, if somebody just walked in my front door, like, I'm sorry, but like, you're gonna eat some shit that you're not coming back from. Like, you just don't do that. Like, I don't know. I was right. Anyways, damn it, dude. What the fuck, bro?
We went far into left field a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's slapping grandmas and all that stuff. So we were actually just talking about like using personal others like for personal gain.
Well, we all do that, don't we?
Yeah, it depends on the intention behind it. I mean, like, you got intention's everything, right? Like it, and I guess intention isn't everything too. You got to have like a fair. There's a time and place for everything, right? I guess that would be the better thing. And perception is reality. So
that first thing you said is definitely biblical.
What?
That time and place for everything.
That's biblical?
It is.
Oh, okay. I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form.
I know. I didn't think you were.
No,
he's.
Anyways, there's a time and a place for everything, right? And it depends. Like people could say, like, right, like I use MJ, like I ride MJ's name and I'm riding his coattails and trying to get big off of his name, and that's not the case at all. Do I appreciate everything MJ does for me? Absolutely, and I try to repay it in every way that I possibly can. You know what I mean? I understand that there's way separate platforms there, but there is good intention behind to repay that favor. Like, when we get up there, if we ever surpass or if we can get him viewers or whatever, there's a mutual bargain there. But there could be an ill intention of, I'm just riding MJ's fucking coattails. Like, I could give a fuck about him. You know what I mean? But it's not like that. Like, MJ is family. So I guess, it's that intention behind it that, whether you're using somebody's name or you're doing it in the right way or the wrong way. Are you being real about it or are you not being real about it? I mean, being associated with the trap and MJ is great. It helps a lot. There's a lot of...
It's not always great.
Yeah. You can say that.
Yeah.
I was like, you can say that.
Well, I mean, everybody's going to go through it. I mean, eventually you're going to run into a situation, like maybe not the same exact one, but everybody faces controversy. You say something or do something, whether intentional or not, that gets you in a situation like that.
Totally.
But it's had its benefits. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's been the ups and downs, and I mean, I'm going to ride through every down and every high and every low with the trap. Like, I mean, that's MJ is literally family.
That's a true friend right there.
And I mean, because you go back to the first podcast we ever did with MJ. MJ had absolutely no business coming on our show. None whatsoever.
None.
I think we had 2 or 3 episodes before that.
Yeah, we only had 2 or 3 episodes. He was like our 3rd episode, I think.
Yeah,
and he said
episodes. Nobody knew who the hell we were, and MJ said yes, just on a whim. And it's like, just that alone was like, all right, cool. Like, you were a real one. Like, giving us an opportunity when, honestly, like, we didn't really deserve it. We hadn't put in enough work yet. We didn't build a name. We didn't have a reputation. There was nothing. Like, it was a sheer roll of the dice. Even coming from his end, like, you think about it coming from that high of a level, I mean, there's a lot of risk in something like that. You don't know what you're walking into. He didn't know either of us from fucking Tom. It was great. From there, it's built up, and people could say, I mean, I've heard it. I've seen it plenty. Oh, well, he's just using MJ. He's just using MJ. Ain't nobody using anybody.
No, I don't. I definitely don't feel like that. I bring people on because I actually want to talk to the people, get to know them. Like, when I met you in person, we really get to talk. So I was like, man, I got to get him on the show.
Let's talk, bro.
So I wanted to get to know you, be like, what's up? But like you said, it's not about, riding MJ's tail, but MJ's, he's been there for us since we had him on, and he comes on the show. He's like, man, this is like the only place I can talk and just be myself. And he said that a couple of times, multiple times. So
it's funny because sometimes I feel like that going on his show. It's like he kind of, for whatever reason, relaxes me, and I feel comfortable talking about whatever, and that, which is saying a lot because that's a new thing for me, relatively speaking. I spent most of my life not being very comfortable talking or sharing my true feelings with people, for most of my life, and yeah, he definitely does that for me, enough to the point where I've offended him enough to where he's kicked me off of his different platforms at times because I was a little too open with my thoughts.
What? Wow, did not know that.
No, it was funny. It was funny. It was all good.
You know what? I'm gonna back that 100%. I've only been on the show once, but I've never felt more open than I did doing a show.
Yeah, it's something about his personality. It just makes you puts you at ease on there. So it's good. I'm glad he does it. You know, he has on a lot of cool folks. He brings in a lot of folks that I've never known of before, never heard of, and takes the time to, you know, talk. He does a lot of talking himself. You know, I'll scroll through sometimes. That's why it's like half tongue in cheek. I'm like, less talking, because I'll scroll through. I'm like, oh, this new person, and I'll like scroll through to like find something, because I don't always have time to listen to a 3-hour podcast. Like, I just don't. There's so many podcasts out there and only so much time. So I'll like bump through looking for something super interesting or through something. And like, okay, MJ's talking. Okay, MJ's talking. Oh, okay, MJ's talking. It's like, when is this person that he has on is going to talk? Which is funny, but that's probably part of how he makes people comfortable talk. He's like, he has no problem, you know, speaking his mind. Is like, okay, well, if this guy's comfortable, I guess I can be comfortable and talk too.
Facts. MJ is a really good leader. Like, I don't know if he'll like ever own that, but like he's a prime example of what a good leader is. Like, he owns what he does, and he carries the personality to do what he does so well. And I think when he is talking, that's exactly what it is. You're right, because when he's talking, he's opening up and he's talking about specific things, and like almost it's empathetic if you think about it, because he's going, well, this is my situation. If you lay out a situation, he'll relate directly to it and make you feel comfortable about it.
It's interesting you say that, but then you got people that have all kinds of different perspectives. You know, that you got other sides of the coin. Like, there was a time when I was first going on his show, like I was getting a bunch of DMs from folks that were like, oh, you shouldn't be associated with that guy. You shouldn't, like, blah, blah, blah. And like people saying the exact opposite. Like, that guy's a follower. He's not a real leader. Like, the exact opposite of what you said. So there's always different perspectives out there. But I always like to just take, when it comes to people, when it comes to my people, I like to take every person as they are for me, not what other people say about them, not what, you know, like how other people feel about this person. Like, you need to feel about this person this way because this is how I feel about this person. I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
No, for sure. I relate to that 100%, because there have been everybody that I dislike, like I openly dislike, like Prehistoric Death. I've done my research. I've looked into it. I've seen it firsthand, what people were talking about, and I formed my own opinion of it. And it may be the same as others, but like, I stand on what I say.
It goes back to middle school stuff. It goes back to middle school stuff, and people are like, "Oh, if you don't like this person, you can't be my friend because I don't like this person."
That right there in itself, though, I don't understand that. If you like this person, I can't fuck with you. I don't fully grasp that. You know what I mean? Because then you're forcing your opinion on somebody else. Just because somebody messes with somebody doesn't mean that they're the same exact person. And I don't know. I feel like that's going to open the can of worms. So we'll move.
No, that's fine. I could. I mean, because honestly, Jay was one of the guys when I first came in that just was really kind to me and just showed me like a red carpet. And I also saw him do some things. You know, there may be some stuff going on there that is subpar. You know, I haven't been there in a long time. Alluding to whatever it is you're speaking about, but I just saw him do some things when nobody was looking. I was like, wow, that just showed me some character. You know, I've got a special place in my heart for that guy, for some of the things I saw him do when he didn't think anyone was looking. That's my perspective. So, yeah.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for as far as like what I saw, the things that he was doing, and I was like, man, that's like, he really stepped up for somebody that really needed help, and wasn't even asking for it, and he went out of his way to take care of them, and with looking for no accolades for whatsoever. I'm sure he's got plenty of other parts of him. He's got a very brash personality, and overfeeds his snakes and stuff like that. But I could find something about anybody. You give me any person, I could find something about them not to like.
Oh, for sure. So let me follow up on that, right? Like, okay, so back then, yes, like I've heard that from plenty of people, right? That Jay was a good person. He was a good keeper. He was a great person of the community. But now, ever since the money and the clout's gotten there, where is he for USR? Where we have needed every platform that we can get to support USR and put the word out there and get every person involved to back us up. Where was Jay?
I thought I saw him do some posts for USR. I could be mistaken. Now there's also could be something behind the scenes there where, because of all the negativity surrounding him, USR has asked him, and I know this happened with Barchek at one point, where they're like, they didn't want to associate with them because of all the negativity that was surrounding them. They're like, we'd prefer if you didn't talk about USARC. That's happened as well. I don't know. I haven't talked to Jay in a while, or even spoken to Phil about that specific situation. So I'm just speculating here, but just a thought.
I could see it, but I don't know. That's a tough one. It's like, even if you were, I don't know, just as the community, it's such a platform. It's hard to untunnel vision from it. We always talk about, what if we got a movie star or famous person to speak up on our behalf and, really bring some literal mainstream attention to the industry. See if we can get some other mainstreamers to relate to it. Maybe there's a keeper out there that doesn't even know we exist.
Yeah, we've had that too. It's been happening for a while. Like when Dave first did his Herpers TV thing back when it was still like VHS tapes. He had people on like Slash, from Guns N' Roses and folks that are definitely mainstream. He didn't have Nicolas Cage on, I don't think, but Nicolas Cage is another one of those guys that's like a reptile keeper. And there's folks out there in the mainstream, but then the only people that really care are folks like us that are deep within the hobby and the industry, I think,
So check it out. I'm going to tell you a story, Brian.
Tell me.
So right after we got MJ on, I got some messages, like you said, like, oh, you should be affiliated with this guy. You should be hanging out. Like, why'd you bring him on your show? And then they would go and message other people and be like, don't go on their show. Like Earl. And Earl came on our show from Lone Star Reptiles.
Earl's a hilarious cat and also very hospitable gentleman.
Yes. Great guy. Amazing. He's been on. He loves the podcast. He always says it when he comes back on. Like, he loves being on the show, and he tells us. But like he said that one time somebody told him, like, message him, like, don't come on their show, because they're gonna make you look bad. And I get where they were saying that, because at one point we were doing a show called No Fox Given, and it was a roast show.
No fox, like the animal, the fox.
Yeah, no fox, like kind of like the F word.
We saw a fox yesterday.
But we were roasting each other on that podcast. Like, we would just sit there and take a roast. How they did Flavor Fave. When they roast him and he just sit there and take it. So we were doing stuff like that. And then we wanted to get involved with USARC with that show, but USARC didn't want nothing to do with us, because they were like, no, it's a frat boy live, like none of that shit. So then me and Levi were like, man, dude, we gotta like sit about this. Like, what are we doing? Like, where are we going with this podcast? You know, what are we gonna do? And then we went back and, you know, redid everything. And now this is where we are today, you know?
So are you saying that those roasts cannot be found any longer on the internet? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'll send them to you, but
they're not online.
Yeah, no, they're still online.
No.
We just got them hidden.
They're unlisted.
Yeah.
I got you.
You have to specifically like request to be able to see them.
I love some of those roast shows, man. One of my favorites was I don't know if you guys know Tony Hinchcliffe, comedian. He did a lot of writing for those roasts. Like he was the main, because a lot of those roasts, like the people that are sitting there in the chairs, the celebrities telling the jokes and stuff, a lot of that stuff was written for them. They didn't like come up with it on the spot. And Hinchcliffe was one of the guys that was doing a lot of the writing for these roasts and like, okay, how about this joke? You use this joke on this person. And one time he went on and he had like, it was on BET or something. It was like Snoop Dogg and like, not Mary J. Blige, but like a whole panel of folks from like hip hop community, and Tony Hinchcliffe's up there, just a little skinny white dude, just all like, just roasting the crap. He's the guy that writes the jokes for the roasting, and he's up there just like going in on all these guys. Nothing held back, just going in hard. So it was so good. I love stuff like that. I love when people are able to be humble enough to allow themselves to be made fun of to their face on a public platform and just like be like, it's all good. We're just here to laugh,
Well, and see that's all great and dandy, yes. But Chris will send it to you, and you'll see
it got really bad.
Yeah. At one point, like I'll give you a little snippet. At one point, we were talking about a dude. There was talks of like a truck stop hooker killer, and it's like there were levels. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and there was a lot of stuff said that's like from a professional level. I understand why people were like, no, we can't. We just no, like you can't in today's day and age, you can't do that. Like you just can't.
Well, it depends on what professional level you're going for. If you want to be, a professional podcast that talks about the business of the industry and is looking to make change to legislation, then yeah, maybe that's not the podcast to be having that stuff on. But if you're doing a podcast to do like jokes and it's a professionally comedic podcast, then I say all that stuff is a go.
And people would like message us and be like, man, I love that was good, I rewatched it, I was laughing, it made my day. And we were doing it, like we were doing that, and then we would go and do Sexin and then go back and do like Foxgiven.
Jokes are funny, man. You're always going to find somebody that's going to get offended about a joke, especially on the internet. If you open up to the internet, like there's always people that are gonna, because jokes are based in truth, and any real good joke, I think, true comedy is just somebody being really blatantly truthful about the way they see something that happens to be hilarious because it's so true. Like, how are you not going to laugh at that? It's so true. But the fact that it's so true, it means that there's somebody out there who's gonna be like, that is true, and that really hurt me, and now I'm offended deeply. So
it is what happened. That's exactly what happened. People started getting mad and then started talking about the whole mama, bringing their mamas, their sisters, everything.
Getting their mama slapped.
Yeah. It got really bad. So I was like, damn, dude, I think we should shut down after that, because apparently we had one guy in there that couldn't take a joke.
Garrett and I did something one time. It was like, we were commenting, it was Noah was pulling his first clutch, and we did an episode like he wore like a hay hat or a weave basket hat with like a piece of hayseed coming out of his mouth, and he was doing like a southern type of, I don't even remember what his accent was, and I had on like this blonde wig, and I was trying to be like this Southern Baptist preacher style, like, oh yeah, but I thought it was hilarious, and we had a blast doing it. But sure enough, we had at least a couple comments were like, you guys are racist.
Always. Yeah. Why though? I don't get it. Like, there's jokes always being made like that out there, but it's always the racist part. Yeah.
Real quick, Chris. Speaking of jokes, can we talk about why you don't shave your eyebrow anymore?
Oh, I just haven't got to the barber, and I can't do it myself.
I mean, the beard screams that you haven't been to the barber, but
yeah.
Wait, what are you talking about? It looks like your eyebrow is shaved.
No, No,
Yeah.
I used to have a line through here.
Not that one. The other side. On the that eyebrow, but on the very inside to the bridge of your nose. Yeah, what's up with that?
It's like that.
He's not wrong.
I was like, what are you talking about? That's my eyebrow. I was like,
that's your natural eyebrow.
All right.
Dang. All right.
I shaved my eyebrows once when I was just learning like how a razor worked. I think I was probably in middle school, and I just took it and like went shaved off like the ends. I don't think they ever grew back quite right. No.
I thought they say that once you shave it, it never grows back the same.
Oh my goodness! What he's talking about is I do like a little slit right here.
Yeah, I'm
trying to bring the fucking '90s bag
where it's obvious that you.
He calls me Nelly.
Oh, Nelly had some.
What?
Dating yourself a little bit. Nelly. I remember watching him on like some MTV show where they get all these music artists to play sports, like play like football. Nelly was good.
Yeah,
He was scoring TDs. I don't even remember. It was something on MTV back when MTV was transitioning from having music videos to anything but music on its channel. That was probably 90s.
Yeah. Talking about dating yourself, bro. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
Let's throw it back.
MTV played music? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know damn well there's a generation watching this podcast that's going to be super fucking confused.
Yeah,
16 and pregnant wasn't on back then? What?
So, yeah, lesser platinum. Lesser platinum is a good way to date people in the reptile hobby, in the ball python hobby, I think. You say, talk about lesser platinum. I was talking to this guy the other day that was trying to identify some animals, and he'd gone through Freedom Breeder, and they passed him on to me to talk about some animals that were having a trait that he was looking at, and he started saying lesser platinum. And at first I told him a person to maybe ask would be Justin Kabilka at Canova, or formerly Jay Kabilka Reptiles. I was like, that'd be who I'd ask about this personally, because he pays real close attention to detail. He's got a great eye for it, and he didn't know who that was. And I was like, how long? Because he said, I've been breeding ball pythons for a long time. I was like, you sure? You know who Justin Kabilka is? Because it's not like Justin's a newbie necessarily. He's not old by old standards, but he's been around for a bit now. And so I was like, all right, okay, is this at that I was like, okay, maybe he's like, I just don't really do anything on. So I cut social media out of my life a long time ago, and just I breed ball pythons, but I don't. But he contacted Freedom Breeder, so there's some credit there, like knowing as far as like being older than the 2000s, and but then when he said lesser platinum, I was like, oh yep. And I was like, there's plenty of people that wouldn't know what you were talking about if you said lesser platinum today that are breeding ball pythons, and he's like, you don't know what a lesser platinum is? Like, no, I know what lesser platinum is, but there's a lot of people today that I was like, you just kind of confirmed with me that you have been breeding ball pythons for a certain amount of time by just so easily just saying lesser platinum, because it's not that it's that old, but I guarantee that probably half the breeders out there right now wouldn't know what you're talking about if you said lesser platinum.
Huh. No shit. So, what the hell is a platinum?
It was just like a line of lesser, back in. I couldn't give you the full history on it because that was part of that podcast where I listened to it, but I didn't retain the information like I did with the coffee. But it's, if you go back to do I have the book sitting right there? That would be great if I did. Oh, I just might. Sorry, let me pop over here real quick, see if I have the book on my shelf. I might have moved it.
Do it.
Lesser platinum. Yeah, I know it was a line like back in the day, but
can we just admire how clean Kusko's room is?
Yes. Oh,
bro, his room is nice.
I like
his setup.
Hey, Kusko, real quick.
What's up?
Before I lose the thought process, what's on the bottom 3 of that rack to your left, closest to the wall?
Over. Where are we talking?
Go back. Backwards. No. Hold on. There you go. Those. What are you keeping those?
there's nothing in two of them, and then there's a boa in the middle one. The bottom one is what I put. I'm sorry. There's a turtle on that side, and then there's my boa constrictor. It's a Sunglow boa constrictor, and then the bottom is just I leave empty so that I can, when I'm cleaning animals, I like if I take, like when I'm cleaning out retics out here, I'll take them out of there and just put them down there while I'm cleaning out their enclosure.
Word.
I always like to have a bunch of empty. Like if I look at all my racks, like this rack, I've got almost the entire top part is empty. I've got several empty. I've got one here holding deli cups. I've got a couple here that are just ready to immediately switch out. Like if I'm cleaning, doing a full tub clean, I've got some set up here with cocoa blocks and everything, so it's just ready to go. I can just swap it out and replace the ID tag. And then I've got the top of that is almost entirely empty. And I always have a couple empty so that I can move snakes over. When I'm cleaning their enclosures, they can be in a separate enclosure and not roaming around the room. Or if they don't feel like hanging around my neck, like that rack over there, I've got 2 empty over there. This rack over here, there's 6 empty. I always have empty spots. I've actually got an entire rack that's shorter than the end on this side, that's back kind of behind by that Freedom Breeder sign, that's completely empty. And I've got another one upstairs that's also empty. I just like to have open space just in case. You never know.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Bro, I don't know. We like your setup. Your setup is nice.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
we were just admiring your room.
I built it myself, which makes me happy to be in here because of all the work that I put into it, to like the walls and ripping out the dry. I did vow to never again ever mud drywall after I built this room. I had mudded drywall before, and I haven't looked in this book in forever. It's such a great book.
Emilio said Ralph named them Lesser Platinum because the babies, his wild import platinum, never lived up to his platinum animal.
Thank you, Ralph. If you guys can get Ralph on the show, that would be incredible. This book doesn't work like normal books.
You know what? That's definitely in the ball python range I'd be willing to entertain.
What's that?
Said Ralph is definitely in the ball python realm I'm willing to entertain.
Yeah, because
not a fan of ball pythons, man. I don't.
You're not a fan of ball pythons?
No.
Not
in any way, shape, or form.
What's that snake on your logo back there?
No, that's my logo.
That's his, bro. Mine's a retig. Don't play with
me. His is a retig down there. You see next to the ball python.
If I put a ball python on one of my logos, understand I sold out and don't fuck with it anymore.
Wait. The one that's behind your head on the poster?
Yeah, that's me and him together.
This is Chris.
And this is me.
Okay.
Here.
All right. I get it now. I get it.
That's supposed to be Pennywise.
Pennywise the clown?
No, well, Pennywise the Retic, named after Pennywise the clown. I don't have an obsession with that movie or anything, or the book. God, the book was so much worse than the movies. Like,
was it? I heard the book was better than the movie.
No, like worse is in like as it is.
Oh yeah, because sorry, I'm nerding out on this book and I haven't looked at it in a long time. This is a great book if you ever wanted to, embrace your inner ball python lover, Levi.
Yeah.
I mean, I have ball pythons. Like, I don't breed them, but I have them. Huh. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, everyone gets their panties in a bunch when you talk shit about ball pythons, but they definitely. They definitely have.
Are you trying to say that people that like ball pythons wear panties? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying that people that breed ball pythons wear panties. But I'm gonna get shit on for that one. It's okay.
Well, just tell them we gotta wear some more secure panties.
They have their place in the hobby. They're needed. It's like I said, I will always give them credit for paving the way for all the rest of the species to follow. Because without ball pythons, we would not have all the stuff that we have. Like, let's be realistic.
now you're gonna have people. You're gonna get crap on you from both sides of the aisle now in one paragraph. That's impressive.
Oh, I wish the other side would come at me for that statement. You know what? I will challenge the boa community, my biggest loved community, to reply to that with a better statement. Tell me that boas would not be where they are today without ball pythons. Tell me that retics would not be where they are today without ball pythons.
Oh, sure they would. I don't
There's
know.
No way.
Yeah, of course there is. I don't understand that statement. I also
ball pythons they push as much as people do not want to admit it. Ball pythons push the next door to open. They are finding new morphs. They are finding new color patternations. They're finding new combinations, and it inspires other snake keepers. I want that, but I want that in retics. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you see a badass ball python combination coming out of Kavelka Reptiles, and you see it, and you're like, all right, how do I get that in retics?
No, I could see that. I could see that side of it. I had Nick Mutton on a couple weeks back, and he was like of the opposite mindset, basically. So there's that side of things too.
The opposite mindset,
like not like that. The opposite, like being inspired by all the other species and not morphs and just wild type stuff, being of species that are less common, being the inspirational side of things, the things that inspire you to do more.
Okay, well, from an importer's mindset types, like where you're looking at things that aren't as popular in the hobby. Yeah,
I suppose so. Okay. Not necessarily from an import. I mean, he's not an importer per se because he's really into Morelia, which you cannot import. So. But I don't know. I can't remember. I was trying to rack my brain after you posted that comment up there on the screen. I don't know that I ever wore panties or not.
Oh, this one.
I honestly can't. I can't recall. I definitely once put on like a mini skirt and high heels and walked around town for Halloween one time, but I don't think I had on panties even then.
What was that for a contest?
No, it was just for Halloween.
Oh.
Just Halloween. I made an old cowboy stop drinking. That was pretty cool. Sorry.
What?
Wait, how did you make an old cowboy stop drinking?
I was standing in front of a Safeway, and I had been standing there, looking whatever direction, waiting for some friends to come out or whatever. And I was walking around, and it was kind of hard to watch. I don't understand how girls can wear high heels like that. It just doesn't make sense. And then I turned around, and there's this old cowboy standing at the front of the Safeway, and he dropped his 12-pack, and the bottles shattered all over the ground. And he was, I couldn't tell. I still to this day don't know if he was laughing or crying. I think it was a little bit of both, but I honestly can't tell. Because so apparently what's happening, he walked out, and he was probably giving me a hard look down, because I was turned around with a mini skirt and high heels on. And he was probably looking at me real hard, like just thinking about, what he was going to do with me in that 12-pack. And then and then I turned around, and that was when the bottle smashed all over the pavement, and he went into a crying or laughing fit, which one I don't know. But the only words I can make out were, I quit. And he just left his smashed bottles right in the front of the store and walked through the parking lot, got in his car and left. Didn't go back in the store for more beer. Just went home.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's incredible.
That was back in never mind. I don't remember when it was.
Oh shit.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So let's jump into this real quick.
Let's do it. Let's start this podcast.
What it means to be real. Brian, what does it mean to be real to you?
Like I feel pretty here right now. I can this table's feeling quite real, although I am aware because of all of the research done into like the atomic level and molecular level that it's mostly space. Like I appear pretty solid here, but if you break it down to the molecular level, there's just a lot of empty space in between all those molecules and atoms that make up my being, make up this table. And if I was able to like get everything in sync just right, I could maybe put my hand through the table just because that's how much space there is, but it's just not working because of all the way the electrons are spinning and things are, the polarization of magnetic fields and all that. That's what makes it feel pretty real. This bottle of Eagle Rare is feeling pretty real right about now. When I tell my friend, when I have a friend who's feeling suicidal and is calling me up and wants to chat and wants to vent and wants to talk to me and find some kind of relief because he can't think of anybody else to talk to, and we're getting into it and I'm trying to talk him through it, and he's one of my best friends, known him since we were little kids, and I don't want to see that happen with him. I don't want to see that. I would not want. I want to do everything in my power that I could do to help give him some hope and help him see some light, even if he's feeling like he's at the end of his rope and in a dark place. And even in that moment, still getting frustrated because I keep throwing out all these things that I think are great ideas. Like, here, check this. If you're calling me, you're asking me for advice. I think that's great because I think I have some pretty good advice for you. Like, here's what we're going to do. I got steps for you, like write this. You have pen and paper, write this down. And we're going to do that. And then it'll just keep coming back to like being down and being like, oh, that's not like, I'm not going to. And then I get to a point where I'm just like, dude, listen, I'm giving you some great advice right now. Like, either shut up and stop whining, or like listen to what I'm telling you. Like, tell me you're going to do these things I'm asking you to do, or don't call me asking for my advice, because I'm sick of hearing you whine about it. That was pretty real, and it woke him up. This is a buddy of mine that I'm looking to help, and thankfully we're such good friends that I'm able to be that real with him. That's why he calls me, because everybody else is giving him fluff about it's not that bad, and I'm like, no, it is that bad. It is that bad. It really is that bad. But you're gonna get past it, and I'm gonna be here with you to make it through it. And I'm able to be that real with him and not sugarcoat anything and get to a point where, listen, I'm frustrated with you and I want you to shut up and stop whining at me so you will listen to the great advice I'm giving you so you don't kill yourself. And to me, that was one of the more real moments I've had in the last year. Just that interaction right there. So between physical reality, emotional reality, and then when it comes to spiritual reality, spiritual and reality, that's a tough one, actually. Think about it, because what we perceive here in reality on this earth, the spiritual is very much not perceived by our senses so much unless you open up the door to that. So that's about as real as I can think at the moment, on funny levels, on real levels, and that's real. When somebody's like even that, I was lost for words and I didn't fill it with some kind of space or some kind of empty words. That's real. Sometimes silence is real. Taking a moment to recognize that maybe speaking is not what needs to be there in that moment. That's real.
That's right. Eden says that's some real talk people don't always like to hear.
Yeah, but knowing the place, knowing the place, the definition of what's real, it depends. If you're talking about talk, real talk is an interesting concept, right? Because it's in many ways it's just words, right? Like how real is it? I mean, there's actual vibrations that are coming off your vocal cords that we understand. Words we're complicated enough, and blessed to be in this position to where we can communicate on such a complicated level as to have language and this amazing array of words that we can use to express ourselves and communicate with each other. It's incredible. And there is a lot of talk out there, and some of it is just that. It's just people saying things, no meaning behind it, no spirit behind it, or maybe even the wrong spirit behind it, depending on your perspective. And to me, the realest talk comes from a place of love. And I brought that example of my friend because it's not very nice, necessarily to tell somebody to shut up. In fact, my mom still thinks that's a bad word. And so when I say shut up, I think of my mom telling me, I don't like when you guys say that. But I'm still saying that to my friend who's calling me looking for help. But I'm getting to that point because of a place of love for him and wanting him to know that I'm not going to sugarcoat the stuff, because he said to me earlier, all these people are just trying to sugarcoat everything for me, and I can't talk to them. And so I was letting him know if he's going to get to a point with me, I'm going to be 100% upfront with him if it's getting annoying, but that I still am going to talk to him, and then I'm going to stay on the phone with him until I know that we're going to have a phone call tomorrow, and that he's not going to get off the phone, and that we're not going to talk the next day, And if I'm not real with him, then he's just going to feel like, all right, that was my last chance. I tried to call my friend who I thought was going to be real with me, and he just sugarcoated everything and acted like it was all good. And so I'm done. And so I'm going to be, if somebody wants me to be real with them, I'm going to be, because sometimes it could be life or death, depending on if you just blow something off or if you take the situation as real and address it with your real heart and don't code over stuff and just make small talk. That's why I didn't talk for a long time when I was a kid in high school, in my 20s. It just seemed like a lot of the stuff I was around, people were talking a lot. I didn't feel like anybody really meant what they were saying. And I was like, what are we doing? What is all this stuff you guys are saying? It doesn't, you don't mean that. You don't mean what you're saying right now. Like, why are you wasting your breath? So, and I'm guilty of it too. At times I'll just say random stuff just to be silly or ridiculous, but that might be my intention, is to be silly and maybe make it a little lighter, and happier or something. But,
dang. I said, you got me all like teared up over here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'm thinking about my friend, and I don't want to see him take his own life. So it gets me a little more emotional than I might usually let on to be.
That's what I got him for. He's like that with me. If I call and I need something, he's there. He's actually helped me out through a lot. So appreciate him.
It's good. It's good to have. It's good to have folks like that. That sometimes all you need is just somebody. There's plenty of folks out there that don't feel like they have somebody, even though they might not know it, but there is somebody out there that's willing to be there for them, even if they don't know it. So I've been blessed to reach a good amount of those folks through my YouTube channel. Which it has been a huge blessing to see people at shows and have them open up to me in person in those moments. Be like, listen, I watched a bunch of videos, and at a time when I was really dark and felt like there was nothing left for me, it's just somehow that was a little glimmer of hope. And it's like, wow, what a blessing, what an honor, and also what a burden, to know that kind of effect is being had out there. Is because I often want to be just light and jovial on my channel and just make jokes, but at the same time I know there's people out there that are going through some real tough spots, and that might be the only thing that they connect to as far as human interaction that day. And so I try to keep that in mind as well with every single video I put out. So I invite people to let me know how they're doing in the comments, and if somebody ever really reaches out and is struggling, I try to get back, and do what I can. I'm just a person. I'm just one man. So I'm certainly not capable of doing a lot of things that I would like to do, because the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. But I like to do my best to be real in every situation and be the person that's needed in whatever situation I'm placed into, and just do God's will, whatever I'm called to do, to step into it and not shy away from it. which I probably fail at some point every day, but I'm trying to journey to be better every day at that, you know. And sometimes it gets tough because I know a lot of folks at this point. You know, I know a lot of people that are in reality, you know, not just acquaintances or commenters through YouTube, but a lot of these folks that I've poured out my true self to through different YouTube videos. Like, I've made a lot of real friends and know a lot of people, and so many people that it's absolutely impossible to raise a family and maintain constant communication with all these folks that I know. So, you know, it's a responsibility that I feel at many times, but I can only be so many places at once, or I can only be one place at once. And very often that's just here with my family, you know, especially with this new baby. So,
oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, especially at the shows. Yeah, please, anybody, if you're at a show, just come up and talk to me. Come up, if you see me at a show, you want to talk, come up and talk to me. Like, please. That's why I go to the shows. I mean, I'm there. I'll bring some snakes that I'm, you know, gonna maybe hopefully sell at the show, which we usually do, which is great. I'm there to film some stuff. You know, I've been doing the promotional stuff, some promotional videos for the Reptile Super Show these last couple of years, which is great because I love Rami and I love that relationship. And but besides those two things, I mean, those two things are honestly, having the snakes and doing the videos, those are secondary to being able to have one-on-one conversations with folks who are there, who watch the videos, or who just who haven't had a conversation with me but know me from doing things like this with you guys, or just putting myself out there on the internet. That's why I go to those shows. That's the number one reason I'm at those shows, is so I can have a face-to-face with somebody like Eden's Den. So you see me there, come up and don't be shy. I promise I won't. Well, I can't promise anything other than if I'm there and you see me, you come up, I won't blow you off. I might be a little off. I might be distracted. You know, might be busy in my brain. But if you're standing in front of me, I'll do everything in my humanly possible capabilities to give you my full attention in that moment. And at least have a hug and say, we love each other, and that'll be, you know, whatever you need. You know,
I literally felt like, sorry, bro. I literally felt like Gio when he's talking about, like, I was stuck in awe. Just felt like I wasn't ready to meet you. I only said 3 words. I was like, "Can you be on the show?"
In Texas?
Yeah, I was just like, "This is Brian Kusko." Like, I didn't, like, one of my idols, man.
Nah, I'm just a dude, bro. Ain't nothing special. I'll tell you that.
So to follow up, Brian, let's see if you relate to this, because like I've kind of owned this at this point. I saw a reel the other day, and it was like I don't really relate to much on the internet anymore because I'm not fucking 13. But like it was a reel. I forgot. I want to say it was like Supernatural or something, like one of Dean's fucking heroic moments. But it said, "I'm not the person that you call when you're sad. I'm the person that you call when shit gets real."
What was that you said? Called it Dean's Supernatural Moments? What was that?
One of Dean's moments, like one of his like fucking where he's like he was doing something heroic in the show Supernatural. Have you seen that show?
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I had no idea the reference. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
They're like fucking they're literal supernatural hunters. Like they hunt demons and kill them. It's a very complex storyline, but like that's the premise of it.
Okay.
They hunt down demons and kill them. It's a really good show, and my wife's got me fucking hooked on it. But for whatever reason, I'm guessing my phone was listening to us watching it, and that reel came up. But like I related to it not from Dean's aspect, but from like what the reel said. Like I'm not the person that you call when you get sad. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to, oh, life's going to be okay. Let me give you a round of applause. Like call me. I'm the person you call when shit gets real. Like I'm going to give you the solution to your problems. I'm going to give you some solid advice. And a good part of me expects you to listen to me. Like I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my own. And I'm not going to be nice about it. Like I'm not. You can ask Chris. Like I'm gonna lay it out. This is how it is. This is the world. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm not being a cruel asshole about it. But like this is how it is, and this is the way things. You know, if you want an answer, here it is. this is the answer. Is it? Do you want to hear it? Maybe. Do you not want to hear it? Maybe. But I'll lay it out how it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, that goes for everybody. Like, that's my inner circle, my outer circle. Like, if you call me with a problem, I'm going to give you the answer. Like, hey, this isn't working, and, I screwed this up. Okay, well, you got to unscrew that up, go backwards, restart, and do it this way. And this is the way that I know it's going to work. This is the way that people before me have told me it's going to work. This works. Is it the easy route? Absolutely not. Not going to sugarcoat it and be like, well, if you keep doing it this way and you try it that way, and maybe no, hell no. Like, I'm gonna give you the answer.
Yeah, that's. I like to think that I'm in that category, and that's what I alluded to getting kicked off one of MJ's platforms before. It was kind of a similar thing. He's asking for people's feedback, and it was on the Zoom call or whatever. It was like a private thing. It wasn't public. It was, and he was asking people about a certain situation, and I gave my honest take on it, and that's what got me kicked off. But everybody else was just being yes men, being like, oh yeah, you're right. And I was like, no, I don't think so. But it ended up being down the road. It was like it was basically like he and Nerd and like Donnie were just like butting heads like this, and I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said. I just know I was just trying to be honest, and I was like, I think you and Donnie, would actually really get along if you got to know each other, and it was something along those lines that got me kicked off. Something along those lines, but.
Well,
yeah.
Look at him now, bro.
Exactly.
I was like, whatever you said worked.
What you said worked, and then it's like, look at them now. I mean, they're like fucking two peas in a pod, man. Which I will tell you, if you go back in time to even before that beef, right? Even before Kevin was being an asshat to MJ. If you had told me when I first started listening to the Trap that MJ and Donnie were going to be best friends, I would have said you're out your fucking mind. There is no way those two personalities are going to get along. They're going to coexist and make this smooth oil machine that they had going for a while. I would have told you you're out your mind and like get out of my face. Like you're on.
Well, that's basically what MJ told me. Yeah.
And they kicked you off the call.
He did call me later and apologize, but I was like, well, this guy just kicked me off, didn't he? Oh, well, I guess he didn't like what I had to say.
But I mean, you weren't wrong. And
I was just giving my honest opinion. Or just what I thought was the best real advice that I could possibly give in the situation. I didn't necessarily think he was going to like it. I wasn't trying to sugarcoat it either. So.
Exactly. Like never.
That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. That's what the world's lost is authenticity. Like if you're gonna say something, say it and own it. You know what I mean? Like that. If you're gonna say something real, you're gonna say something real. It's gonna.
Yeah, but that's hard. That's how nowadays, though, because if you say something, it offends somebody.
And
well, yeah, that was the whole moral of the story. I said something, I literally got kicked off the call. So it definitely offended somebody, but it ended up being like what they needed to hear. So a lot of times, if you feel convicted about what somebody says to you, then maybe it's something you actually needed to hear, and you need to own up for why it is you're getting so offended about what it is that's being said. Because more often than not, the person getting offended is the one that's taking offense, and it's not the fault of the person that's just maybe saying something that's true to them. Maybe that's just something you needed to hear, and you don't want to hear it. You don't like it at all, but it's maybe something you need to hear. And the fact you're getting offended is maybe something you need to look in on yourself and be like, whoa, why am I getting so upset about these words that somebody's saying? Why am I taking them to heart like that instead of just brushing them off? If it didn't matter, if it wasn't a big deal, if it didn't truly matter to you as a person who you are, I like to think that if somebody says something like that to me, I'm just like, well, that doesn't matter. But if they're saying something that actually hits me, like, ooh, why am I feeling like that about what they said? I don't like it, but it's obviously affecting me. Maybe you need to check yourself in those situations.
Here's a prime example, Chris, when we got turned down because of our frat boy lives.
Oh, that hurt.
We were offended.
Okay, I get you. Yeah.
It felt like a low blow, right? In the moment, it felt like a low blow, like, no, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. We got offended, got defensive, got all up in our feelings, but then we take it constructively. And look at where we are today. We have Brian fucking Kusko on our show.
That's not necessarily what the F in my middle name is initial for, but I'll take it, I guess.
Wait, is your middle initial really F?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's funny, dude.
I may have used it like that myself once or twice.
He's like, I have Brian fucking Kusko.
It may have been my wife that I use that too, something like that.
Oh my god,
that was great. But no, I like your definition of what it means to be real, because that's really what it is. Like, it's not sugarcoating it; it's laying it out. And sometimes you got to say some things that are going to hurt some people's feelings. Like, it is what it is, and to break through, sometimes you have to. Like, I mean, me and Chris have been there. We said some real shit to each other. We said shit we ain't proud of. We said shit we are proud of. We are here. We're here today.
Yeah, true. I mean, a lot of my, and this is probably a dude thing more than not, but a lot of my really good friends who stayed good friends for the life type of thing, there were definitely times when, we really didn't see eye to eye, and it got really heated, and we probably got really upset at each other, but we came through it, and that's when it's a real friend, because you go through that stuff, and maybe it's even like a physical altercation even takes place, and people leave with like things to look at in the mirror later that like, oh, that he did that to me. But then you get past it, and you become like, the bond that's stronger because you work through something. Sometimes it hopefully doesn't have to come to blows, but you work through something with somebody, you get that much stronger. That's why folks that go through really hard things together, they get that bond. It's like, okay, we made it through that together. So I know if things get tough, you're not just gonna head for the hills and leave me high and dry. Like, we're gonna work through it. Even on simpler levels, like I got a buddy Josh that we did some stuff that was not nearly as hard as some of the stuff that some of my buddies and I went through when we were younger. Just like some intentional, like Spartan races and things that are hard, and you have to kind of fight through it mentally and physically. And after going through that with some buddies like that, like now our bond is strong. We go to play some other things. Like we went to play some, I'm sorry, I'm going to date myself again. I'm getting older. So I've been playing a little pickleball. It's been a lot of fun. But we go to play pickleball together now, and since we've done some of that other harder stuff together, it's like people can't even stand up to us on the court. We went to play our first tournament the other weekend. We got gold. Just because we got that bond, it's like nothing gonna take us down. Not when we're together. Not when we're together. We're gonna hold strong, because we know that we've been through harder stuff. Yeah,
that's me. That.
Yeah, it's great to have folks like that, man. It's I hope that everybody in life gets a chance to have some, because I know that's not true for a lot of people. A lot of people out there feel like they're alone out there, like we talked about before. And I hope that everybody gets to a point where they can have somebody else in their life that they feel that bond with, it. They're like, oh, we're going to make it through this together. Totally.
It's a strong bond, man. It's like you said, as it gets stronger, it becomes almost unbreakable. Like, it would take heaven and earth to break a bond as strong as what me and Chris have shared together. And speaking of being physical, trust me, there's some fucking days that I want to bash him over the head with a steel chair.
You ain't lying.
WWF style, bro. Like, real true brotherhood. Do you have brothers, Kusko?
All my brothers were chosen by God. I don't have I have no blood brothers.
Shit.
Oh, okay.
You have sisters?
Yeah, I've got 2 younger sisters.
Oh, okay. So they weren't older. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh man, you missed that whole generation of beating the hell out of each other. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no. Like I said, I had brothers chosen by God. We beat the hell out of each other in the front yard on a daily basis. So that we had those little, like, the first time we started the boxing, like, we had these little, they're like karate, like, sparring things. It was just basically like a thin pillow. It was basically like a MMA glove without its dents of padding. It's just like a little thin pillow that went over your fist. It was literally like made out of pillow material. It was about that thick, and we would knock each other out on the front lawn.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Dude,
I can't say we did.
What did Bob say when she came out and be like, "What happened to Brian?"
Why'd you taking a nap in the front yard? What is it?
I never actually got knocked out. Not in those front yard sessions. I got knocked out once when I was jumped, but not in the mutually assured, or not in the mutually confirmed boxing matches. When I got hit from behind one night, that I was knocked out then for a moment, but never face to face. So that was cool.
I've got my ass knocked out a couple of times. Mutually agreed fights.
Oh, man, I've never been knocked out.
I thought taking on a pro boxer one time was a good idea, and I learned real quick that was not a good idea.
Oh yeah, no, you don't want to do that. Not without some training. The thing about pro boxers is they train for that.
Yeah, in the moment it wasn't that wasn't a thought process. It was just 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Fuck this, I got this.
Yep.
I did not have it.
You guys should have filmed it. YouTube would have really appreciated you.
Man, we didn't have video cameras back then.
I know.
Wait, you had the flip phone that no camera, the little.
Bro, nobody had a damn camera out, bro. We lived in the moment where I came from, bro. Like there was no what was technology, even in the later.
I miss those days. I miss those days.
I yearn for those days as well, man. Yeah, it's funny to yearn for those days because, I mean, I'm because of the internet, I'm able to support my family now doing the stuff that I really love to do, and it's awesome. And without the internet, that wouldn't exist. But I still find myself, like, oh man, I'm thinking about the times when just not worried about what's happening outside of your immediate surroundings. Some special times.
For real. We weren't worried about the media or nothing.
I can still say I partially live that life. So the worst content creator that goes to an expo is me. The worst. This last expo was like the most amount of content that I got out of an expo, and it still didn't feel like enough. But like, I don't pull my phone out. I really don't. Like, I make it a point, like, it is so embedded in me. Like, if I'm in the moment somewhere I love and enjoy it, like, it's so hard for me to break that. Like, I have to, like, put every mental effort into it to remember to pull out my phone to videotape the snakes on the table. Because I can't.
No, I'm with you. Like, especially at the shows, because I want to have those, like I said, the conversations with folks is the most important thing to me. So that I do focus on that. And even in my day-to-day life here, I film what at this point, this year, I'm basically filming what I need to. There were times when I was filming all day, every day. And there was that time, but that time is not now. So I'm finding that balance still, balance it. Right now, I'm probably on the heavier pendulum swing towards hardly filming anything and just being there especially since I've made a lot of friends here in the last year and a half locally. And then with the baby, a 1.5-year-old baby, those two combination together leads to spending a lot more times in the moment and not filming so much,
For real,
awesome, though.
Even with the kids, man. Like I'm so thankful to have my wife because she's really good about videotaping and taking photos and all that. But like, we'll be out on like hikes or herping or whatever, and it's like I've run into some really cool stuff, and I don't have it on video. I don't have photos of it. They're just in the moment, like enjoying it with the kids, or out on a hike, or even in the house. You know what I mean? Like my daughter's first steps. I don't have that on video. I don't remember where my wife was for that, but like my daughter's first steps, like nobody pulled out a phone. Like we were just in the moment. We weren't expecting it. It just happened. And it was like, a lot of people pull out their phones and like take a moment or try to pause the moment to get it on video or camera. And I get it. Like I'm not bashing people or talking shit about it, but like, I just can't do it. Like there are so many moments where I was like, yeah, I go back and I was like, it'd be cool to relive the moment on camera. The first date, the first date, almost every single Date to Remember show I've ever been to up until the most recent one, I don't have pictures or videos of. I can tell you all about it though. Tell you about the one I fell down in the pit and I did not get picked back up and it hurt. Yep.
It's good to have some memories that you don't record with a device.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see concerts and there's like everybody's got their phone out. Just like, are you at the concert?
Yeah, that is my exact thought process behind it. Like if I'm watching, God, where did I go to? Slipknot? Corey Taylor got pissed off with the crowd. It was like, put your damn phones away and enjoy the show. Like, what
Good for you, Corey.
Here?
Like, Good for you, Corey.
Go back to, I think, it was here in Phoenix, and it was I can't remember which tour it was, but he got pissed off with the crowd because everyone was on their freaking phones. And like, I embraced that mental. It was like, how are you on your phone right now? Like, this is one of the most legendary sets of all time. They're doing most of their older stuff. The pit's going wild. And
that's the place you don't want to even bring an electronic device into. You're just like, leave it in the car.
Yeah, but like I saw phones up in the pit. Like, how?
I was like, you're about to get like pissed in your face.
You're not gonna have a phone after the pit.
Who was it? Rodney Radking did it too. He threw a tantrum over the phones. I mean, watching him throw a tantrum is pretty entertaining. I hate that guy, but it happens. But like living in the moment, man. Like today, I sent a couple of pictures to the group chat. I could have unloaded media today, and I stop and think about it. Right, Kusko? Do you do that? Do you stop and think about like, damn, today, like during cleaning day, would have been great for content? But like, you're so in the moment, like with your animals, like what? I forget I have a phone. Like if I'm in the snake room, like this laptop shut, my work stuff is shut off. I forget, man. I'm so in the moment. Like I go back, I'm like, damn, I have a camera. I have a phone. I know I have snakes. I know I love these snakes, and like I'll literally lay on the floor of my rotics, like, and pick them up, and I forget I have a phone, man. But like, it would make great content.
And this is why you always ask me, like, well, how come you don't post pictures of your reptiles? Like, how come you don't show your animals much? Because for that reason.
Yeah, I had a moment like that just yesterday. I had a couple of snakes in a clutch that were stillborn, and I fed them to my indigo snake, and I was like, after I finished feeding them to her, I was like, oh, that probably would have been pretty good reptile content. Oops.
I am super curious. What are you looking at?
What was I looking at just now?
Yeah.
I was looking at my indigo snake.
I love it. Hey, look at the animal and you're like, damn, I could have really got some good content. That's a really good educational one, man. You should definitely you should film it once.
Yeah.
I think you should put out like
I have before. No, I don't think I ever have.
I don't think I've ever done one. Not that I've had a bunch of stillborns or I've done a lot of breeding. But like, if I ever get around to like showing off a king snake doing it, that would be badass for educational purposes only.
Yeah, I think I did with a tegu one time, maybe not. She didn't want to eat the egg. I don't remember.
Wait, you have a tegu too?
I had a tegu.
Oh.
Real quick, Brian, before I lose the thought process, what is the coolest thing you've ever seen out herping?
Ooh. Oh man. We
can go top two because I know you're an avid herper.
Thank you. Top two. Let's go top two. Okay. Which one's cool? Oh man, they're both right there. Okay, we'll go in chronological order and just say that's cool. We'll go with number top one. This was the first one that made the list because it came first in chronological order, and it also very well may be the top one. I'm gonna have to premise the story before, I'm gonna have to give the whole backstory of it too, because that makes it that much cooler. Leaving for this trip, got invited. I mean, just the fact that I was invited to go to Indonesia with Brian Barczyk was cool in itself. And then when I found that out, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm gonna go, and I'm like starting to research like what are we gonna do out there? Like where exactly are we gonna go? When am I gonna get a chance to see? Are we gonna go herping? What are we gonna do? And I was already friends with Garrett at that point, Garrett Hartle, and he was like, oh, I used to live in Indonesia. And so he's giving me some different stuff like that might be cool while we're out there. Maybe go check this out. Maybe go check this out. And so he like scribbles this little map on a napkin for me. Actually, I framed it. It wasn't a napkin. It was the back of some piece of paper. I actually framed that paper and sent it to Brian last year because he was asking about it. It was, just a little piece of paper. He scribbled this little map on the back. It was like, go so many kilometers up this road on this island and, look for the cobblestone road here and turn down this way and then go that way. And it was like, it was almost a joke of like how we're going to try and find this place. It's called the Istana Ular, which is the crystal snake cave, the snake palace, I think is what it meant. And the idea was we're going to go try and find some reticulated pythons in the wild. Was what we were hoping to find at this place. So we get to the airplane. We get to the airport, and that's actually where I met Forrest. Fanning was right there in that airport, about to get on a plane to go to Indonesia.
Damn, what a legendary fucking trip! Sorry,
it was incredible. And so we go. I mean, this is the same trip where we got to jump in. Like one of the senators from Jakarta like took us into the zoo, and it was closed, and we got to jump into the enclosure with the Komodo dragon and run around with it while it chased down a chicken, and that was epic in itself too. But so we're there. at this point we get to Bali, and I'm in my head like that was one of the things I really had on my list. There's all these things that we could potentially do on this trip, right? There's so many different options of like where are we going to spend the time, what are we going to do. My top thing was like I want to go find this cave that supposedly exists based on this little scribble on the back of this piece of paper, and that was my thing. I was like, I'm going to do this, and I was telling Brian about it. He's like, maybe we do that. It just depends on how like everything plans out. We're supposed to go here, we're supposed to go there, and so we're in Bali, and we have this nice villa. There's this guy KO there that like kind of set us up in Indonesia. He like knows everybody, and just we had this fat little villa, nice pool, and it was gorgeous. Bali is an amazing island, and we're there, and this is the time. It's like this is the moment we can go from here, jump on a plane to go to Labuan Bajo, which is that island that contains that cave. And Forrest is like, I'm not going. I'm staying at this villa. This is chill. I was like, yeah, I hear you, but I really want to go. And Brian has a thing with planes, and especially prop planes. And he was like, I'm not sure, man. It might be just one of those little puddle jumpers, and I don't think I really want to go necessarily. I was like, all right, that's fine, but I'm going. Like I came on the trip, like I'm going. If you guys don't come with me, I don't care. Like I'm gonna go. Just know that whatever you guys decide, I am going. So do whatever you want, but I'm going. And eventually Brian was like, I think the guys we were with tried to convince him, oh no, I don't think it's a prop plane anymore. It's like it's a normal jet or whatever. And which they were lying, I think, because we got there and it was a prop plane. And I've actually never seen somebody so physically like actually abhorrent to flying on a prop plane. Like we're sitting on the plane. I thought he was going to get off. He was like shaking. He was like, oh, I don't know, dude. I was like, I was trying to calm him down. Just like, it's going to be okay, man. I was like, close the door. But he stayed on. And we went and we flew over there, and we get there, and the drivers that KO had lined up for us spoke like no English. I'm like trying to translate with my phone. Like we're trying to get to this place. I drew on it's like find this road and then drive 70 kilometers that way, and then turn at this cobblestone thing here. And these guys had no idea what we were talking about. We had to like call KO to be like, hey, these guys that you had to drive, and they don't want to leave now. Like, no, we'll go tomorrow. We're not going to go now. Like, well, if we're going to go there, we'll go tomorrow. And I think that's what they said, because we didn't leave. They're like, oh, okay, we're going to the hotel. We're not going anywhere. And so we left the next day, and trying to tell them the whole time we're driving, and we're going up this road that probably has seen attention in like 50 years. And we have to go like 5 miles an hour through a lot of it, because it's just like climbing with this car going up this road. And after a whole day of driving, basically, like it's getting into like early evening or late afternoon, we finally arrive at this village, not even knowing like maybe these guys just decided they wanted to go to this village, and I don't know if this is the right place at all, because we can't talk with them. They don't know what we're saying. I don't know what they're saying. And all we have is this little map that Garrett drew on the back of this piece of paper that supposedly they can. So we get to this village and we roll up, and everybody's smiling. And which is the whole country, everybody's smiling. It's a very happy country. People are very happy and friendly there, and no different when we were in this village that probably hadn't seen a person with blonde hair like Brian since maybe ever. I think some of these kids probably never saw somebody look like Brian. They were so excited, and because people see me, they're like, oh yeah, it's another Indonesian. But we're going through, and then it's all cool. We're like, oh, all the kids, and we get the soccer balls, and just like it's like, oh, this is so fun. It's like National Geographic, like all the kids jumping around, all excited to see white person, and we get into this. We find the elders. Like we're talking to some people and trying to figure out. Oh, we want to talk to I guess we need to talk to the elders. We're trying to find this cave, and they bring us into this hut, and it's just dark. There's like one window, and we're all sitting in there. And the mood just grows like somber. And Brian and I are sitting there, like feels like we're on a panel, just the two of us sitting, and like the whole village comes in to crowd this hut, and elders sitting there, and all of a sudden nobody's smiling, and everybody's just stone face, like watching and looking. And I'm just like looking at Brian, and it's like, what is happening? Like, are we okay? Like everybody looks pissed all of a sudden, and the elders are talking to each other and like pointing at us and talking, looking at each other, pointing at us, and it's getting tense. Like you don't need to understand the language to know that it's like getting kind of tense. I'm looking at Brian, and I told him later, it's like I was just waiting for you to flinch and like jump for the window, because I was going to be right behind. Like we need to bail out of this hut and run, because whatever. And one of the elders motions to the back, And the guy comes out from the back with this big machete. And I was like, dude, is it time to go? I mean, obviously they didn't kill us because I'm here telling the story. But after all that presentation, I think they were trying to scare us. Honestly, I think they were trying to like get all scared of us. But then one of the others comes up and basically what was translated was like, we need $40. We'll take you to the cave. I think they were trying to decide how much money to ask us for. They were like, oh yeah, $40. Let's go. They brought the machete with, and they like cut a branch off on the way down. We had to hike about an hour down into this valley to get to the edge of this cave. And the elders like took that branch they cut off and used the machete to make a little like splice branch to stick in front of the cave. And they had a little egg and they put it in the thing and cracked it and like said a blessing over the entrance of the cave before we went in. And we didn't get like 15 feet into this cave and boom, retic right there on the wall. And I mean, this cave was loaded with bat guano. Like we get to a point where like up to our chest in a river of bat guano. And it sounds like it's raining in the cave and it's bats shitting on you.
Gross.
But they're, yeah.
Gross.
But they're, yeah, gross, but wild reticulated pythons out in the middle of nowhere on this jungle island that we got led to by these elders of this village that we only had a hope and a prayer to even get to in the first place. That was probably my number one herping experience to date, and probably the one that will stay number one no matter what happens going forward. I can't imagine what would top that, because we thought we were going to die. We didn't know if we were going to make it. We get there, I think we're going to die, and then we get to actually find a retic, and we found more too. But we found the first one, like I said, 15 feet into the cave, just boom, and handling it. Getting footage, and it's just cruising. I mean, this thing is just running through our hands like it's a pet. It was amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that was so cool. That was number one. Number two, I'll keep the story shorter because I know that was kind of a long one, but
that was a good one,
worth it. 100%. That's fucking awesome.
Number two, second amazing blessing of herping experiences, get invited to go to Australia with Dave Kaufman, and we're on that trip, and we're out in the outback with these two local dudes who are awesome cats. Freaking love to share the outback with them, especially since they also shared the same affinity of making fun of Dave with me along on the trip. So we had been going around the Kakadu National Forest all day looking for Owen Pelly pythons, which are the species of python that has the smallest range of any python on the planet. It's like a 20 kilometer or 20 kilometer, some small square range that Owen Pelly pythons exist on the planet. And we're in that national park all day looking for them, going here, going there. Just like, there's what we might find. We've maybe seen them here before. This is a snake that people who have been herping in Australia for a lifetime have not seen this snake. And we're looking for it all day. And then we were still road cruising at night. Sun goes down. We're like, okay, didn't find anything. Been road cruising for a bit, finding cool stuff, finding olive pythons, finding cool short Antaresia and different things like that. And we're like, okay, let's wind down for the night. And we're just kind of driving down this road looking for a spot to park the little van where we're going to sleep and crash in the van again like we had been doing the whole time in the outback. And we're probably 100 yards from the spot that we ended up pulling off to sleep. And before we get there, Owen Pelly python stretched out halfway across the road, like 14 feet long. Just massive Owen Pelly python, which my understanding, it's not a species you go road cruising for necessarily. They're not just out on the roads. But there it was. We jump out of the van just like, oh, and this thing, I mean, it's Somalia genus, right? So like it rears back up. I go up to like try to see how long it is, like I'm gonna go lay down next to it so Dave could film me and we could see how big this thing is. And when I go to lay down next to it, it's like, oh no, you don't. And like S's back, that triple S thing that Somalia do with their looking at my knee like, I dare you lay down next to me. Lay down to me, try it. And this snake is just on fire. And then we end up getting to pick it up. And like we got it all filmed, it's like it was amazing to find that species. And we tried to be a little humble about it because like afterwards those native Australian herpers who have been spending their whole lives looking for one they hadn't seen one weren't very happy with us that we just roll into town. Just like, oh, a couple of Americans just stroll on in the outback and there's no Owen Pelly python waiting on the road for them. Perfect Americans.
See, I don't know how I embrace that feeling. Like I understand it, but like it it's from the herping experiences I've had out here. When those situations happen, like I'll take my kid out and we'll find a species that I've been looking for forever. And I'm like, I do at first, like you do have that, like it's almost natural. Like, damn it, little shit doesn't even put in the work that I do. It's getting to experience this.
Yeah, that's all it was.
And then it dawns on me, but it's like, all right, so it's that one oddity though. Like, it's that one off the wall situation, a couple Americans coming in, you taking your kid, whatever, like checking the spot, that weird spot that nobody would ever think, or whatever, the weird situation is. It almost makes you more grateful for it when you really think about it. It's like, all right, cool. You know what? Had they not come in, had they not done this, had I not brought my kid with me, I probably wouldn't be looking at this damn snake right now. Let's be realistic. It's always with my kid, though. Like, where they brought the Americans in, it's always when I take my kid, I find something that I've never been able to find on my own, that I randomly find in some weird situation, too, where the snake has no fucking business being there. Like, you would never in your life imagine the snake in this moment in this spot. My first ever, like, it's stupid, like it's super common that people find them, but my first ever speckled rattlesnake I found in a fucking spot that it had absolutely no business being in at all, right next to a canal on a road that is one of the most popularly walked. Left my snake hook, left my phone, left my bag in the truck, right? Told my son, hey, let's pop out. Let's just go walk here real quick. Maybe we'll get lucky and find a gopher or something chilling on the little spot, basking. Walking out there, maybe 20, 30 yards away from where we parked. First thing we spot, I'm like, what the hell is that in the middle of the... I look at my kid, I'm like, dude, a fucking speckled rattlesnake. Like, there's no way. Just chilling in the middle of the little hiking trail. Like, no freaking way. And they're... no business being in the spot. Like, there's never been, like, you would never guess it because nobody's ever reported seeing one out there. Walk up to it, admire it, chase it off the trail, obviously. Do you do that when you're herping? Do you chase them off the hiking trails? Do you, like, get them to scurry on their way, go find a bush to hang out in?
Yeah. We never live, because we handle everything we come across. That's almost a guarantee. I know that's not a purist herpetologist, like, move. You just get a picture in C2 and then leave them there. No, we're touching. we're touchers. Sorry.
Anything non-venomous, I'll do. Man, I'm still, like, I've done it. I'm still not comfortable fully picking up a venomous in front of the kids, just in case something goes wrong. But
yeah, well, I mean, hook in that scenario.
Yeah, well, not freehand. I did run into a Western Diamondback. I was so fucking tempted to, but I was like, nah, it would be just my luck. I think I can trust this thing. I can't.
I picked up a snake in Arizona one time back when I was just getting into, like, Facebook reptile groups, and I was on a job with a buddy. I went out there to work with a buddy in Kirkland and help him out for a couple months, and I was up on the roof and he was down below. He's like, Brian, snake! He knew I like snakes, and it came down and it was a rattlesnake just sitting there right on the half wall, the little pony wall, staring right at him from this wood pile. And I was like, oh yes. And I was kind of an idiot for sure, but I was like, I'm gonna try and pick it up. And I took a stick and just pinned its head, and then grabbed it behind the head and just kind of picked it up, and his, like, tail was rattling and venom dripping out its fangs, and it was like, whoo, that's exciting. I was like, here, Jeff, quick, take a couple pictures. Sweet. Holding it behind his head, just like that. And then I was kind of like, well, how am I going to put it back down? Like, I probably shouldn't just throw it. So I just like, just do the reverse move. Just put it back down, put the stick back on its head, let go, take the stick off. Perfect. Worked. No, like a charm. And probably not protocol. But I quickly learned how much people will tell you that you are an idiot online for holding a rattlesnake like that in the wild.
Yeah, that's a thing, man. Like, I don't post much of my herping stuff. Like, it's such a mixed community and mixed reactions and what responses that you get from certain things. Like, there's a network of people that I'll share my adventures with at this point. But yeah. So that is actually going to be my wrap-up question. Chris is going to hit you with one. I've got to run. I didn't realize that we were already at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, cool. I've got to run myself, man. It's almost dinner. I'm probably past dinner time with the fam, but I just wanted to give you guys as much time as possible, because I usually can't do Sundays, and I know you guys have been trying to have this for a while, so I just wanted to give you as much time as you guys needed.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for handing over the time. I know I'm big on that myself. Like I'm pretty strict with the deadlines. Like gotta cut. Family first. Period.
Yes, sir.
Always and forever.
Yes, sir.
Yep. I appreciate you for coming on the show, Brian. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man.
But
Thanks
I'm
for
gonna
having
hit you with the wrap-up question. If you could change one thing, like in the entire hobby or industry, whatever, negative, whatever it may be, like what would you change and why? Knowing, because you've been in the industry for a long time.
Oh man, just people's ability to agree to disagree and just leave it at that. And agree that there's not just one way to be a reptile keeper, and just leave it at that. That'd be the one thing I'd change, man. Just like, okay, you do it a little different than me. Cool. That's it.
Yeah, that's hard for people to do, for real, dude. But that's like hard.
That's a good one. That's like the world peace answer, in my opinion. If we can agree just to disagree and move on with our lives, like it's that simple. There is no one magic way to do things.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. I like that answer. Thank you for those stories, by the way. That was incredible.
Thanks for letting me share. I love reminiscing on those stories, man. Those are some fun ones.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a follow-up episode just focused on herping if you're down.
Totally. 100%.
The ups, downs.
I've done lots of awesome herping stuff that we didn't talk about, so absolutely.
Oh, dude, so down. Chris needs to get his cherry popped.
Yeah, I've never been herping.
Oh, snap.
Are you going, real quick, are you going to NRBC in September? Is it September, right? September or November?
September, yes.
September?
Yeah, the Texas Arlington show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll be there.
Oh, I'm going to be there again.
If you got the time, we should get together and map something out to where the three of us can go out in Texas. Because I've yet to go in Texas, and I don't know anybody out there on that level. And it sounds like you've been around the block. So
yeah, we'll check out some folks. I'm sure that we know somebody out there that's knows some good spots. I've never gone herping while I've been out there in Texas. Actually, we just go to the show and yeah, let's do that.
Let's pop the cherries.
Make it happen.
I think we could ask Earl though. I think Earl may know.
Yeah, I would think so. That's the first person. That's the first person that came to mind was Earl.
Yeah, I've talked to Earl a couple of times about going out there, so let's do it. Yeah.
But usually one thing I'll say is usually when we're out there for the show, he's usually trying to host people and stuff at the house. So I don't know, see where we can fit in a herping trip. Might have to be like before. It might like be on the Thursday or something, or the
for sure. Yeah, there would
Monday.
Definitely be. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll try to lock something down. Get Chris out, and it'll be a first for both me and you too. Oh, dude, I'm so excited already.
Yeehaw!
I live my life to her, man. Like that is like out of the hobby, like the top of the number one on my favorites list, and like outside of keeping my animals thriving, like right below that is herping is my priorities.
Nice, I like it.
Like I haven't been in a week, and like my skin's crawling even just thinking about it. Like I go out every chance I get, like every night. Like my walk, my exercise is herping because Arizona. I live in the desert.
Yeah,
I walk in my backyard to find something. So
I hear you.
All right, well, thank you, Brian. Man, what an episode!
Like, yeah, awesome. Round of applause for Brian.
Right on. Thank you guys for having me, bro.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
Wait, Brian, flex real quick. Give us this big flex. Yeah. Appreciate Brian for coming on. Hell yeah.
Right on, guys.
And, all right, Brian. You have a good night. Thanks for coming on. We're gonna shout out the sponsors as you go ahead and go.
All right. Aloha.
Go enjoy dinner with your fam, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, we're gonna shout out the sponsors real quick. We got Reptile Crew, CMB Reptiles, KC Reptile Lab, South Bay Reptiles, Josh the boy.
Maybe I'll get my shirt.
Ship your
Hey,
reptiles.
real quick, hold on. If you didn't catch the litter that fucking Josh just put on Instagram, go check out his Instagram. Check out that boa litter. That is incredible. Like I know, Andrews, whatever. That one's actually got some special ones in it. Zoom in on that picture. Look at the all black ones that they produce, man. Fucking incredible litter. All right.
And then we got Blue Tug Republic for logo designing, tattoos, whatever you need. Hit him up. He'll hook you up. Other than that, it was
Ship Your Reptiles.
I already said Ship Your Reptiles.
Did you say Ship Your Reptiles?
Yeah, I
don't know.
I
go
did.
back.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to go back.
Go ahead.
Just in case Chris didn't say it, Sugar Reptiles.
I did.
What is it? Flexin or Sexin 23? It's Flexin,
Flexin,
right? Flexin 23. Get $15 off your order.
Yeah.
Shout out to Susie and the fam over there too, doing great things.
Shout out to Susie.
Number one shipping reptile company.
They're actually here in Texas at up in Dallas for the aquatic one.
Oh, well, you should have went, dipshit.
Dude, I didn't even know. I didn't know until Vanessa started posting it.
Wow,
and
slacking.
and Vanessa's like, when she gets out of that show, she's gonna get home and let us know when she can come on the show.
Bet, let's go.
So we're gonna have a woman's life again. We need to bring those back, by the way, which we will. We're working on those, guys. All right.
Yes,
because I know how much like a lot of women actually out there love those lives. So, on that note, y'all have a great night. This was a great show.
Shout out to Kusko.
Shout out to Kusko, yes.
Shout out to all the herpers out there that got excited with us for that one.
Dude, I was excited, dude. Every time Kusko talks, I don't know why, dude. It's relaxing. I was just comfortable, dude. I was just listening to what he had to say, because especially when he got real, dude. That was amazing, dude.
That was incredible. Yeah, it's been a great life. So, all right, man. I gotta hit a schedule real quick. Go deal with my children. So,
love you.
Shout out to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great night, Chris.
We'll see you on the next one.
Beard. Shave your eyebrow.
I am gonna shave my eyebrow. I'm gonna shave it. I'll have it. Don't worry. I'll look better for you next week.
You got to come on with a Band-Aid on already, though.
Like already, right here. Yeah. All right, bro. All right. Y'all have a great night.
Yeah.